This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Sony Xperia Z3v. V stands for Verizon. So when is an Xperia Z3 not quite an Xperia Z3? When it's the V model. Notice it looks a lot like the Z2 rather than the Z3, but it has the updated Z3 CPU and camera inside. We're going to look at it now. So this is the Sony Xperia Z3v on obviously Verizon Wireless. We have a big Verizon logo up top there. We have another Verizon logo on the back. So you'll never forget what carrier is offering this phone. Of course, the little Xperia logo there. That N is the indicator for the NFC point right here. So you don't have to wonder what part of your phone you're supposed to put against an NFC terminal if you actually use that feature. We also have a Sony G lens back here. 5.2-inch IPS, what Sony calls Triluminos. This is what they call all their IPS displays. And it's 1920 by 1080, so it's full HD. That's 424 ppi. That's plenty high resolution. I'm not going to be begging for QHD displays on a 5.2-inch phone. Honestly, it's very sharp. Viewing angles have certainly improved from the days of the Z1, as you can see right there, but this is using the same display as the Z2 rather than the Z3. Now, they're both very good displays. That's not the end of the world, but the Z3 does get brighter. This is a 400 nit display versus the 600 nit display on the regular, shall we say, Z3 that hasn't been customized for Verizon Wireless. Now, the Z3 has been out for 7 months or so overseas, and it just recently came to T-Mobile, so it's not like opportunities are jumping out from every carrier to buy the regular Z3. But just so you can see what it looks like right here, here is the regular Z3. It's got aluminum around the edges, glass front and back just like this guy, but it's gotten curved and it's gotten thinner. So one thing about this is it's angular, it kind of digs in your hand. It's not particularly petite for a 5.2-inch phone. So here we have the more modern styling and the easier port doors. Sorry, you're not getting that on the Z3v. If you didn't know about this phone, you'd probably think this phone was pretty cool. Oh well, that's how it goes. And for those of you who are interested in compact phones, this is the Z3 Compact. The Z3 Compact is a GSM phone that Sony Mobile sells direct from their website, not through a carrier. So really, for those of you who are on Verizon, not much of an option unless you use more than one carrier or you're happy to jump carriers. But you get the idea of the size difference. Obviously, this is a 4G LTE phone on Verizon Wireless, and it runs on the same CPU as the Z3. That's good news right there. The 2.5 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon 801. That's a quad-core CPU. Adreno 330 graphics inside, 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of storage. So in terms of horsepower, you're not giving up anything. You also get the same camera that's used on the regular Z3. This is not the Z2 camera in here. Now the design is Z2 and even Z1, Z1S reminiscent right here. Straight sides, and we have doors over all of our ports and things. Right there is the SIM card slot, is a little pull-out tray, for example. Why are these doors here? Because this is water and dust resistant, so up to meter submersion for 30 minutes. You get it dusty, don't worry about it. You can rinse it off in the sink as well. Another door right there for our micro USB 2.0 port. These doors are a little bit more fiddly than the regular Z3, but they are an improvement over the Z3 Compact, I'll say that. And then here's one more. Expandable storage right here. We have a micro SD card slot as well. Good times. Volume rocker right over here. Sony's signature little round power button. Nice metal, feels very good and tactile. And a dedicated camera button, something I wish all phones had, at least the ones with really good cameras inside like this one has. Bottom, nothing much going on here. Top, we have the headphone jack. You can see a microphone hole right there as well. It is glass front and back. Sony uses Dragon Tail glass and Gorilla Glass 3. Obviously, this is the white one. It is also available in black. No other zingy colors overseas. Sony tends to make Xperias in some pretty neat colors. We're not getting that one. Those here. For those of you who don't like Samsung TouchWiz or LG UI, that kind of bloatware, Sony's Touch is much lighter. It hasn't changed much over the years either. We expect to see a revision to the UI when Android 5.0 Lollipop comes to this phone, which it will, but right now it's running Android 4.4 KitKat. Again, they do a couple of little things that actually aren't bad there. You can swipe and you can do some organizational stuff right there. I actually like that quite a lot. This here, clean, fast. Overall, it's a very quick and responsive phone. No, it's not the Snapdragon 805 that we have just in 2 phones right now, but the difference between the 801 and the 805 in terms of performance is actually relatively small. It's more about battery life on LTE, particularly for GSM radios. So you can see we get all the Sony apps right here. They got their Walkman app, which obviously is their music player, their own album for viewing photos, it's nice enough, and their movies, which is really, you can play locally stored videos. It's kind of geared towards getting you to buy and rent content from Sony. And PlayStation, now that is pretty neat if you are a PlayStation 4 owner. There is PlayStation integration. 2 things, you can actually get to all of your account stuff, look at your trophies, your profile, all your PSN kind of content right here. And you can use this as a remote play device with your PlayStation 4. If you like playing on this little guy instead of your big screen TV, you can actually do that, which is, well, pretty neat. The Walkman program is not bad. Right now we can take a look at our library right there. Again, it's real happy to try to sell you stuff, and it has things like what's going on, what's the top song right now. And we'll try playing a song so you can hear the front-facing stereo speakers. About half volume. Max volume is a very impressive thing on this device. I have to say, it's right up there with the HTC One M8 for very good and very loud front-facing stereo speakers. So another nice selling point there for the phone. Call quality on the phone has been good. Yes, we have just reset it since we made calls. Don't worry about that. That's why the call log is empty. And you have your usual quick access to contacts, your favorites, groups, and so on. Data speeds on this have also been pretty good. I'll give you one caveat here. It's a decent reception phone, but it's not the best on Verizon's network. Really, the Samsung Galaxy Note 4, and it does have an advantage being so huge and having that whole frame around there to mount an antenna, has the strongest reception in weak signal areas. The Droid Turbo is also very good at holding onto a signal in weak areas. If you live and work in an area that has moderate to good reception, not an issue. If you're in a very weak reception area, you might see this guy drop down to 3G. It does use the same Qualcomm chipset for radio reception, so it has to do with the antenna design more than anything else in the phone. Unsurprisingly, when it comes to benchmarks, it scores just like the Sony Xperia Z3 and other Snapdragon 801 2.5 GHz phones. On Quadrant, it scores 20,642. On Antutu, 41,900. 3D Mark Ice Storm Unlimited, 18,682. SunSpider for the WebKit JavaScript test where lower numbers are better, 808, which is pretty darn decent. And again, just like the Z3, similar to the Samsung Galaxy S5 and other competitors currently on the market that this guy's battling against. In terms of speed, you're getting the same stuff there. So how about the camera? I think that's one of the selling points. 20.7 megapixel camera against Sony G lens there, which means their upgraded lens. Has HDR, it has 4K video recording. It has an intelligent auto mode that's actually pretty darn good on it, and full manual control. So let's take a look at that now. So right now we're in the superior auto mode, easy as that to take a picture. The autofocus speeds are quite good. If you want to shoot a video, you just tap that instead and you can pan around like so. Full HD and 4K video recording is available. Now what if you want to play with manual controls? Boy, there's a lot of stuff going on there, huh? You've got the superior auto where you're using full manual, sound photo, face in, multi-camera, AR fun, which I don't know, that's kind of a little bit goofy, but hey, there's your 4K, time shift video, stream live to YouTube, lots of things to do. So let's go with manual for a minute, just so you can see the manual controls. I think Superior Auto does a pretty good job, but just in case, we've got self-timer right here, we got the ISO setting, we have metering control, image stabilization on or off. So a reasonable selection of settings right there, and we have our flash control always on the side there and the front to back switching between the two. Tap over there just to get to your gallery. And there's the video it shot, a little bit on the dark side. It's not the most brightly lit scene, honestly, and there's the photo that we took, which Looks pretty good too. The flash on the back is quite bright. It's not one of the two-tone kind of flashes, but it is a bright light and it's capable of pulsing too. Overall, I found that this took very natural pictures. That's one thing that I liked about it. Now, the Samsung Galaxy S5 takes very sharp pictures, so does the iPhone 6, and there's a lot of software processing going on to guarantee it. With this, I get the feeling I'm looking a little more like an SLR photo, and there's some leeway for adjustment there, but I kind of like that, and it has a more natural, three-dimensional look. So I certainly would say this is one of the nicer camera phones on the market. Phone has a 3200 milliamp battery. It is sealed inside. There's stamina mode. There's also the super stamina mode. Variety of power saving features there. Without even using the extreme stamina mode or our stamina mode, this thing just really is very efficient with battery. It's been impressive. So has the Xperia Z3 non-V model and even the Z3 compact. I had absolutely found no way to kill this in less than a full day of use, and that's with trying pretty hard. Now, I played Real Racing 3 for about 40 minutes on it, for example, and given the added thickness right here, you actually don't feel the heat as much as you do on the Z3, which is a bit thinner phone, so very good on battery life. Another thing to mention while we're talking about that, there is no magnetic charging connector like we have on the other Sony models. Like right there, you see we have this on the Z3 and the Z3 compact. Not here, but instead we get Qi wireless charging. So I think a lot of people really enjoy wireless charging, and you don't have to buy the little magnetic charging dock or a charging cord. So that's really not a bad thing after all. So all in all, it's a nice phone. One thing that I have issue with is the ergonomics. There's a reason Sony changed to that rounded design for the Z3, because this is just kind of a handful and it kind of digs into your palm. Now, I have big hands. Size doesn't usually bother me much, but it's not the most comfortable. Also, being a little bit thicker doesn't help. The top and bottom bezels, I don't know, Sony just loves to have tall bezels there. Makes it not a particularly compact phone for its size. Other than that, if you like the clean UI, particularly that Sony has, if you like their camera, again, those would be the selling points. There's a lot of great phones on Verizon. We got the Droid Turbo, we have the Samsung Galaxy S5, the Note 4. Obviously, the iPhone's competing as well, so those would be the reasons to go for this guy. And in a vacuum, in a world where the Z3 didn't exist, this would look pretty darn good. But unfortunately, the Z3 does exist, and for phone enthusiasts who know about this lovely phone right here with its thinner design, its brighter display, this one just feels a little bit, well, left in old times. Not really sure why Verizon opted for that, other than they wanted this design because it was easier to implement the Qi wireless charging on it. Still, for $199 on contract and $599 without contract, it's not a bad phone. So that's the Sony Xperia Z3v. It certainly is an attractive phone, and it's got a lovely display, a very good camera on it, and you know, it's unique. It's got glass, unless you're worried about the delicate nature of glass. It's a good-looking phone. It sits in a lineup full of other good-looking phones on Verizon Wireless. If you like the Sony look, if you like the Sony camera, that would be the two selling points that set it apart. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to visit our website for the full written review, and don't forget to hit that like button.